Good morning, everybody. All right, so somewhat of an exciting day yesterday. A little rally. Started off pretty erratic. Um, so it got to the top of the range. Now we'll see what happens. All these earnings reports coming out. This is where I wonder what kind of day we'll get today, other than a narrow range day, but what could foretell of positive things? Well, I'm not so sure. Even a negative day, if this retraces down into here today, as earnings come out after the bell, and could turn it back around. The most interesting thing that I'm seeing right now, the market's pretty much doing the things it does, it kind of erratic stuff, but the breadth is just nothingness. It's just flatlining here, and so even though we've had these, the pullbacks haven't been that severe or anything. I mean, this day was the kind of nasty down day, but big up there and up and then up, and not to have that sentiment. I'm not sure whether that's might be a good sign that they're not getting so bullish. But the breadth hasn't been so great either. I mean, with this kind of a bar and yesterday, and it's just up to this high over here. So, in part, yesterday started out negatively. So the breadth was more negative, but then it recovered. It didn't recover that much. Here. That's sentiment. That's the one I'm looking for. Whereas, look at this, and sometimes you see these things, and sometimes they're spot on. Like, look, I'll show you. Back here, was it back here? It was back here. Was getting this head and shoulder. This here, the breadth, the head and shoulders top that formed on the way up there. And it, said that the breadth was getting weaker, even things went up, and then, price ultimately is the determining, right, as what happens in the trade, and we got the pullback. And so now, and again, this is the moving average of the breadth. What did August look like? Well, this is the high. This was the high in August, McGraw. Right, that was the high, and so this is where the breadth was strong on the breakout, and that was good. And then on the next move up, it was weaker, and we had this head and shoulders. So now, just looking at the day to day, to measure, how strong was yesterday, and so that was strong coming out of here on this day. I guess it's this day, and that's what you want to see on a turnaround day. And then as this pulled back, it came all the way back down here. So the selling was strong, and now we get these 2 days up, and this actually flipped down on an up day. And you can see, I don't know if I could draw it. I could draw it here. With this, yeah, with this. So we can see, maybe tomorrow, I guess, how things play out, whether this really means anything, because look, if this breaks out, this has to go like that, all right? That's what it should do. But look, the sentiment is down here. It's just unusual because for the longest amount of time, any amount of buying like this, and this was quite 3,500 up to 3,800. And they're not buying an excessive amount of calls. That's odd. It's odd. I mean, and down at the bottom, you can say, look at here. So as this moved down as far as it did, yeah, it's got room to run. It's a good change. But look at the beginning of the turn here, right? Which this wasn't so clear. We're at 2020 hindsight. We could say, oh, that was the beginning of the turn. And, it was a breakdown failure. But look at even before here. the amount of calls that were being bought down at the low. Now, no, nothing. Right. So you're saying there's a lot of short institutional money. And so maybe that's bullish, but the market's not going to go up without the institutions getting bullish. I mean, what moves the market. That's where the big money comes. So it's just a thought. We'll see. Maybe it will break out in the earnings, the Microsofts and the Apple at the end of the week and so on and so forth. And we'll see. Well, whether they cover, that's fine. They could leave their hedges on, but at some point, are they gonna buy, aggressively? So I'm just pointing out what I see. It gives me a few thoughts. I'm sharing them here. I'm not predicting what's going to happen. I see prices are now at the top of the range. This is where there should be more selling, which could be just today. It could be a consolidation day at the top, and then it goes higher. So I say these things, sharing thoughts and what's happening with internal gauges and prices and so on. And we look back on it in a few days and we say, hey, what did we learn from this? We speculate. That's what we do. We're speculators, and we use our internal gauges and our price patterns to speculate and come up to see what type of scenarios we believe may play out and how that can help us. And that's what we're doing. All right, so far today, you can see just kind of marking time, back down to the low, a little chop there, not much going on. Spiders right there at the top of the range. Same story. Where are they at? Are they gapping? Basically unchanged, not really doing much of anything. Look at how far low they went. So they were into the middle of yesterday's range, and yesterday's range was relatively small as it reached resistance, but from the move was it? That's yesterday, right? That started up and then was a power rally back up. Now the Qs, right? This was that whip, right? First thing in the morning where it was at resistance and had that big wide range bullish 180 bar. And it went higher. It's kind of jerky, but now you can see it's come up into that unfilled gap there. So this continues to show relative weakness. Blue Horseshoe says, Goldman Sachs says on 1031 it starts to buyback window, forecasts 1.1 trillion. So $1 trillion is going to come into the market. I think that's what you're saying, to buy. Okay, that's 5-6 days from now. I mean, end of year rally, starting November, give or take. We'll see. Right. So, yeah, Qs. And so one of the things that when we reviewed a whole lot of earnings stocks at lunchtime, one of the things that I pointed out was, and we all see this, is that the weekly time frames are trending down and they're moving up into where they will be a sell setup. Now, the interesting part about this sell setup here is you see that tail there, which is this bar, which could lead to the bottom, meaning does this clear this major resistance, this pivot high here, right? The high prior to the lower low. So this is transitioning potentially from a downtrend to a sideways trend. And so I have a kind of just my own rule to say, look, if it retraces about 80%, 70, 80%, And it's not about fibs. It's just about, this is a tool that allows me to say what is exactly 80%, right? And it's right there. So it's kind of like, is it moved to a sideways trend yet? It's right at 80%, but it hasn't really closed above 80%, which it might do today, and that would move it to a sideways trend, according on how I look at things, right? My own little plan. But then can it take out that major resistance, which then from there, it would still be sideways. It's not in an uptrend yet, but it's clearly broken the back of the downtrend. And this is what, the connect the dot people do, which is, again, my opinion on that, where they pick a pivot and they say, all right. And this is what I get a kick out of, right? When they do something like this, right? And they connect the dots like that. And it's like, oh, it broke out above the high and it goes back down. Okay, I guess whatever. Now we got to go over here and adjust it like that. And then they connect the dots in a different place. They don't use this one. Now they use that one. And it's like, oh, it broke the trend line here. And now if this rolls back down, what are they going to do? So this is the confusion with trend lines and connecting dots, because ultimately it always comes down to looking to the left and what is major resistance. So if it breaks through here, it's violated the trend, black and white. And you don't need to connect any dots or start adjusting your line from something else to something else. I saw a guy on CNBC do this the other day with, I think he was showing Tesla, and he drew a line. I could see the chart, and I'm like, well, why is he ignoring where he connected the other dots? And it didn't work. But anyway, this is how trend line analysis is misleading, because ultimately, if this clears here, it'll break the line every which way you could possibly do it. And that's the question when you look at the Qs. Can they even retrace up here, let alone get above it? So this is major resistance. The definition, the high prior to the lower low, that's major resistance. And over here, the way it came down, you don't have that. So one of the things that I've explained in the past is, look, in this time frame, your minor resistance is up here where the 20 is. Well, that's the 100 MA on the daily. That's your minor resistance. But you see that this tail, when you have a tail bar that you've got a couple of lower highs over here and one over there, that's going to be a pivot in a lower time frame. So that's something to keep in mind. So even though it isn't on this time frame, it is going to be on a smaller time frame. In any event, coming up here would be minor resistance, and your pivot is way up here. SPX. Get far away. I had written. There's my notes. 720. Down below. I prefer up high, but now some of the pictures they cleared them. 3720. I had written, and I guess I didn't write it down. I just looked at it. It was like 38 something. I would go up higher since this is run up. Yesterday's low is going to be support, and right now we're just unchanged here. So it shouldn't go down there, but who knows? I think this is up the second day. To get to that higher value up there, it won't be able to do it. I don't know if this hasn't cleared. Yeah, they cleared this too. Anyway, you know what to look for. You know, I think it was like 80 something by 90. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let me get Dan on here. You know, the Dow has been showing relative strength. Why I have this here, I just moved it up. There's really nothing to the left. Let's just see here. Yeah, there's nothing there. There's a void above here, but it's had a pretty good run. And a bunch of Dow stocks reporting. Maybe a couple did already today. Well, it's kind of minor resistance there. And Bitcoin still doing nothing. Just totally erratic, dead in the water. The dollar did nothing yesterday. Now it's down. It's breaking this here. So that supports the market. Should find some buyers unless this flips right back up. And you know, 10-year as the 5-year continues to pull back. And that's pulling back within an uptrend. Makes sense. It got a little extended. So let's see if these markets can continue to move up. They're getting some support from that intermarket relationship. You know, this is underperforming. So I think we're going to be dealing with more of the same erratic stuff, and everybody wants to see what tech is going to do. You know, that's gotten beat up the most. Well, we shall see. You talking to me, Jess? Knocking down others' trades if it works for them, who gives a shit? SMH, I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about me talking about the trend lines, do a little inspection of that for yourself and you'll find out that they're useless. But if you're directing something at me, say it directly. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. I love earnings seasons. We get so many more trading opportunities. I did a couple of them last night. Did a couple of them a few days ago too. And I'm going to track them this time. Last earnings season, I didn't. But I was roughly like 25 or 28, something like that. So let's just go down the list here. Well, here, let's talk about the big ones for today. So UPS, we shorted way out of the money puts, beautiful bottoming pattern, gapping up. So let's try to just bid a penny or two to get out of that. Logi, we found this yesterday. We shorted the 30, was it 35 or 37 and a half? And that was just, you know, far away, slowing momentum. So that's going to be good. Triple M is against us with the gap down, but we sold the 110s for $1. So I don't, you know, we'll see at the open, but I think we're going to be okay. Intel, Thomas, you got to tell me what you're asking. I'm personally short puts on Intel also. I also did DFS on naked puts yesterday, the 75s. And no, not that ticked up that DFS. There you go. I did the 85s. And you know, it's capping down $2. And I guarantee you I'm gonna have a nice open profit. And because that's this strategy that even a gap down, the majority of the time, not always, we're going to have catastrophic gaps. See Bitcoin popping here. Is the volatility contraction is going to be greater than the loss of the stock gapping against us? And we're going to watch that together in Triple M. I actually did another one myself that I did not give you all. So this one's also gapping against me. I did the 30s. And we'll see how they open. But it's surely not going to be you know, even if I have to stop out for a 5-10 cent loss, it's not going to be much. Fernando asking about General Motors. Yep, that had earnings. I know it's up. There's no pattern. It's gapping up. The answer, Fernando, is I have no friggin' idea. You just got to put it in a 5-minute chart and see how it sets up. Let's go here to my list. We're short the put spread on SIL, SIL, silver. I see one. My alarm went off here, but I don't trust this unless I see more volume. Now, work, we're also short, way out of the money puts, big bottoming pattern on this paper company over yesterday's high. Looks like a directional. I'm going to set an alarm, just eyeball at 33.30. Disney, what's Disney doing? Disney nice for what, Thomas? I don't know what you're saying to me. If it's opening flat. Yeah, we bought that yesterday. Alex mentioned HAE. Yeah, that's a you know, it broke out, bullish consolidation. I like the rising 20, 50, 200. Housing, there were some Schiller numbers at 9 a.m. No pattern though. TLT, I posted as a put spread, gapping up from a climactic buy setup. KWeb, you know, Chinese stocks got crushed yesterday. There unfortunately weren't many good daily patterns, but there was a lot of intraday patterns that might be good for day trades. ZTO, I missed this one yesterday. That got whacked, but possible over this pre-market high is a day trade. MOB, a little penny stock here. I saw gapping up. Recent IPO. We'll come back to it. CVS, bearish gap. I don't know what's going on there, but it's a mess. SSD. I forget if this had an upgrade or what, but I don't see any prints. I'm going to delete you. WRB, another bullish consolidation holding the upper part of this with rising 20, 50, 200. I see a couple prints down here. We'll come back to you. X-ray Mike gapping up, bottoming pattern 1150. It'd be a no-brainer put spread. Now I'm going to need help when I say I like XYZ as a put spread. Then you know, feel free to help me at the open. Hope. These are all earnings now. No pattern. I'm going to delete you. I see. Okay, Triple M now getting a little worse. So we might. I'm going to be really curious what those puts open up at. HSI, deleting you. Know, saves my job here is to prune my list, so I don't have. You know, I got to prune it. KKR, this one's not earnings, but it's a beautiful bottoming pattern. If you want to set an alarm, 4660. Now I'm back to earnings. Cliff gapping down. Wow, that's an ugly gap. Gapping under this entire base. Tomorrow, MT Live, we're talking about shakeouts. That is a total upside shakeout with a shock pattern. So does that mean short it? No, because I need a pattern, multiple time frames, et cetera, et cetera. But it's definitely that's a shock upside breakout. Multi, that chart gives me a headache looking at it. Arc, little bottoming pattern. We'll come back, but put spread. True. Now this would have been a possible start of a W, and now earnings are whacking it out. So now it's a continuation in a downtrend. But I'll keep an eye on it to see if it possibly turns into a bear gap that bullies trade. But probably I don't know. But nothing. It's not a tier one. Nothing to do with it right now. All right, Hub. It's a big mess. You're gone. SYF. Floppy, you're gone. Corning. That's bearish gap. Halliburton, no pattern, you're up. WRK, I just had a low alarm go off. A low alarm. I think this might be drugged down by IP. I saw going down for some reason here. All right, triple M. I actually shorted $6.50 puts. All right, the triple M is not open yet. So here's one that went against me, but I'm still profitable. 6.5 puts I sold for, I think, 28 cents. And I'm now closing them at 9 cents. I'm out. So I made whatever percent. So a nasty gap against me, and I made 80% of max profit. You know, whiskey up alarm, bottoming pattern. We're already in a put spread. IWM, I posted a put spread idea. I'm shocked that it traded over 174 so fast. Logi, I got filled on a nickel. Whoa, nice gap. All right, so I just got filled at a nickel. I was bidding pre-market. And that's what I, recommend that our subscribers do. And see, it's climactic pre-market. So that's a beautiful out. We avoid 24 days of risk. All right, UPS, FDN up alarm. We'll short that. All right, let's go back to triple M now. The puts should be open. Zero by 8 cents. And I was worried about break even. Incredible. Alex, are you watching this? So we were short the 110s for $1. The thing gapped down $5 on us, and we're at 95% of max profit. Well, it's not crazy. It's just it's the game that we're trading. I mean, it's not a game, it's a trading strategy. All right, thanks for helping, David. All right, so the 110s. My total bad. I totally take that back. I was looking at the 100 puts instead of the 110s. Nevertheless, we're at 35% of max profit. So I already posted it break even, so I'm just going to leave it. DIOD up alarm. We entered this yesterday, but it's a 1, 2, 3 to add. It looks great. Market ripping here for some reason. 5-minute chart. Don't know why. But again, you got to put that in perspective of bigger time frames. Well, 5-minute pop doesn't mean a whole lot. All right, so Corning here went against me. So I told you, all right, so Corning, let's see where I'm at. I was hoping I would have a bigger profit, but I'm just going to bid 20 cents. I sold them for 30. So I still have a gain. All right, so that's fine. HAE. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, looks fine. Stop yesterday's low. Look at Roger Dodger. You all look funny. All right, Roblex. Yeah, yeah, it's extended. It's extended looking at pre-market data though. But yeah. Yeah. All right, look, DFS went against me. All right, so I'm out of Corning at 20 cents at a 35% of max profit.